Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Eats and Insights. Today we're starting a new series on innovations in food technology. Innovations in food technology is a huge and evolving topic. We will break it down into multiple episodes. Let's begin with one of the most debated topics out there, lab-grown meat. Lab-grown meat, also known as cultured or cell-based meat, is being touted by some as a new direction for meat production. It involves cultivating meat in a lab instead of traditional farming methods, and it's sparking discussions on what this means for the future of our food. In this episode, we'll explore the background and science behind lab-grown meat to understand how it's made and why it's generating so much interest. We'll delve into the potential health impacts, considering both the advantages and concerns of consuming lab-grown meat. We'll also take a look at the cultural and religious viewpoints that affect its acceptance. We'll assess its implications for the economy and employment, particularly in relation to traditional farming methods. And finally, we'll delve into the controversies, addressing issues from regulatory challenges to questions about its environmental impact. Throughout this series, we'll aim to present a balanced perspective, offering insights into what lab-grown meat could mean for our future food supply. Let's get started. The concept of lab-grown meat, also known as cultured or cell-based meat, has its roots in early 20th century ideas about cultivating meat outside of an animal. It wasn't until 2013 that Dr. Mark Post and his team at Maastricht University in the Netherlands publicly demonstrated the first lab-grown meat product, a hamburger patty. The science behind lab-grown meat starts with collecting muscle cells from an animal, typically stem cells that can differentiate into various cell types. These cells are then placed in a culture medium, which is a nutrient-rich solution that contains amino acids, carbohydrates, vitamins, and minerals to encourage cell growth and multiplication. The cells are transferred onto a scaffold that provides structural support, aiding in the development of muscle tissue, which are specialized containers, mimic the internal environment of an animal's body to promote cell growth and help the cells develop into muscle fibers over time. The early days of lab-grown meat production were marked by extremely high costs, with the first burger patty costing over $300,000 to produce. Yes, you heard right, $300,000. Recent advancements in technology and scaling production have significantly reduced these costs, making commercialization more feasible. Companies are working on various products, including lab-grown chicken, pork, and seafood varieties. Some of these products have gained regulatory approval in limited markets, with Singapore being the first country to approve lab-grown meat for commercial sale in 2020. Lab-grown meat presents several potential benefits, including reduced environmental impact, as it requires less land, water, and emits fewer greenhouse gases than traditional livestock farming. It offers significant advantages in terms of animal welfare by eliminating the need for raising and slaughtering animals. From a food security perspective, lab-grown meat could provide a more stable food supply by reducing dependence on traditional farming methods. However, it's essential to balance this optimism with a more conservative perspective. Some argue that lab-grown meat still requires significant technological refinement and cost reductions to become a viable alternative to traditional meat. There are also concerns about its environmental impact, as large-scale production could lead to increased energy consumption, depending on the energy sources used. Cultural and ethical reservations about lab-grown meat persist, with some viewing it as an unnatural intervention that disrupts the traditional relationship between humans and food. Uncertainties about the long-term health implications and regulatory challenges add to the complexity of this innovation. Understanding the scientific background of lab-grown meat is essential for appreciating both its potential impact and the diverse range of perspectives that surround it. Let's go deeper into the topic. In my view, knowing overall environmental impact is an important aspect of this topic. All right. The environmental impact of lab-grown meat is a major factor in its potential to reshape food production. The technology offers promising benefits in reducing the environmental footprint of traditional livestock farming. For instance, it has the potential to significantly cut down on greenhouse gas emissions, particularly methane, which is prevalent in cattle farming. Because lab-grown meat production does not require large tracts of land or the extensive water resources needed for traditional livestock farming, it could help preserve natural habitats and biodiversity by reducing the demand for grazing land and feed crops. There are concerns about the environmental impact of lab-grown meat as well. The process of cultivating meat requires a controlled environment with regulated temperature, which can be energy intense. If production scales up without relying on renewable energy, the overall environmental impact could still be significant. The nutrients and growth media required for cultivating meat can be resource-intensive to produce, and finding sustainable sources for these inputs will be crucial. Another challenge lies in waste management, as lab-grown meat production could generate its own specific types of waste, like used culture media and non-edible biomass, which will need effective disposal or recycling. The transportation and distribution of lab-grown meat might contribute to emissions, particularly if production facilities are located far from consumers. While lab-grown meat holds promise for reducing the environmental impact of food production, its actual benefits will depend on overcoming these challenges and developing sustainable practices as the industry evolves. Moving on, let's discuss the health impact. The lab-grown meat is a multifaceted issue, reflecting both optimism and caution. One of the potential health benefits of lab-grown meat lies in its controlled production environment, which can minimize the risk of bacterial contamination and foodborne illnesses that are often associated with traditional meat production. The controlled environment could also allow for the exclusion of hormones and antibiotics, commonly used in conventional livestock farming, which some people prefer to avoid in their diet. Lab-grown meat can be engineered to have a specific nutritional profile, such as reducing saturated fat content or adding beneficial nutrients. This customization might make lab-grown meat more appealing for health-conscious consumers. However, there are concerns as well. As a relatively new technology, lab-grown meat lacks long-term studies on its health effects, leaving questions about its impact on human health. Some worry that the growth media used in production might contain additives or synthetic ingredients that could raise health concerns. When it comes to comparing lab-grown meat to alternatives like cage-free or pasture-raised meat, many consumers seek out these traditionally farmed products due to beliefs in their superior taste, nutrition, and ethical considerations. Cage-free and pasture-raised animals are perceived to lead healthier and more natural lives, which may translate into higher quality meat. Though the scientific consensus on these benefits is mixed, I will make a separate video on how these different meats compare against each other and which one is better. Whether lab-grown meat is healthier than traditionally raised meat remains to be fully understood, as its benefits and potential risks become clearer with more research and commercial use. When it comes to adaptation, I think cultural, ethical, and religious viewpoints will matter the most. Lab-grown meat has sparked diverse cultural and religious viewpoints. For some, the concept is exciting, symbolizing technological progress and an ethical shift. Supporters argue that lab-grown meat aligns with a future where food is produced more sustainably and with minimal environmental impact. For those who prioritize animal welfare, this technology offers a way to enjoy meat without the ethical dilemmas associated with traditional livestock farming. Others view lab-grown meat with skepticism. In many cultures, food is deeply tied to tradition, history, and ritual, and lab-grown meat challenges these conventions by presenting an entirely new way of producing a staple food. The idea of synthetic or unnatural meat can be unsettling for some, who see it as a departure from the authenticity of natural foods. Religious perspectives also vary widely. Judaism, some Jews might question whether lab-grown meat can meet kosher requirements due to the absence of traditional slaughter methods. Other Jewish authorities see potential in it, arguing that cultured meat might be permissible depending on how it is produced. Muslims are uncertain whether lab-grown meat can fulfill halal standards, which also require specific slaughter methods. Scholars are debating how to classify lab-grown meat, with differing opinions on whether it can be considered halal. Christianity, there are no strict dietary laws in Christianity that directly affect lab-grown meat. Many Christians may have personal reservations due to ethical, environmental, or health considerations. Lab-grown meat introduces a new paradigm that intersects with personal values, cultural identities, and religious beliefs, creating both enthusiasm and resistance depending on one's perspective. Oh wait, as we're digging deep into lab-grown meat, I realize this video is getting a bit long, so let's make sure to cover everything in detail by having a part 2. In the next part, we'll delve into more controversies and concerns that surround this topic. We'll also explore its implications for the economy and employment, and dive into the regulatory challenges. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more insights into the evolving food industry. If you are with me so far, Kindly hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next episode, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. This is new channel I have started and need encouragement, so if you like the video kindly subscribe and show your support. Thank you for subscribing. Here is a beautiful picture of a pika sitting on a mountain. Pika is small, furry mammals found in Asia and North Americas. Bye and see you in next video.